everyone, and welcome to Nightsky Sanctum. I'm Gavin, your GM, and we can start by introducing all the players and their characters. Why don't you begin, Morningstar?
Well, hello, darling. My name is Morningstar, and I'm playing as Elise Monteor, Median Psyche, who always tries to get her way through as many schemes as she can.
I can attest to that. Seth?
I'm Megan.
sorry.
I play as Seth, a neurotic, Nerid witch, and my goal is to make myself and my familiar masters of stealth and infiltration.
Anya, would you like to go?
Yeah, my name is Anya. I play Hollis, who is a Gob Baba witch who is very curious and very excited about all things deceased.
Awesome. And Vespertine?
Well, my name is Vespertine. I play Madeline. God damn it, I need to figure out how I'm gonna say that. Pronunciation, not concrete.
It can be different every time you say it.
Precisely. That's the way I like it. And they are a Gorgon animal, I think,
Yep.
with purple skin.
Yeah, fantastic. So, if I remember correctly, you all had your first engagement during our previous session. You were accosted by a witch that you had made enemies with in our very first session, actually. She came back to haunt you with a few sort of smoke wraiths that were coven mates of another witch that you guys upset over the course of the game.
We have been making quite a few enemies.
But at least you're handling them all when they make a stink. So, but yeah, you all handled yourselves admirably and kept your coven stead safe, and then jaunted off on an undertaking, which pretty much wiped you all out when we stopped last. I think Seth was in a pretty bad way, nearly about to trauma.
Pretty close.
From Jack playing a bit rough of Shadow Dawn fame. So I think we stopped before doing any kind of downtime or even drawing down the moon. So we should probably start with drawing down the moon. That way we can see how much you all recover after that last undertaking. Who wants to roleplay the drawing down the moon? Should I roll a die? I think... Yeah, go ahead.
Webber's in the best physical state at this point.
Yeah, Seth is probably... I think Seth has taken nearly their entire health track of wounds.
I'm concussed, my hands are messed up, my shoulders are messed up. I'm in a bad way.
Oh, and Madeline, you, I don't remember if I did for your character sheet, but whenever you miss a session, your character gets all their harm, all their wounds, and all their willpower and essence back. So your character is fully healed and ready to go.
Nice.
So would you like to do the drawing down the moon?
Me?
Yep, the ritual that binds the coven together and helps restore some of your strength.
Sure, I've never done it, but
Okay.
I can do it.
Yeah, just describe how you would do the ritual with your coven and what it would look like, and then we'll roll the dice.
The strands of moonlight and pull them.
How
Like you're
romantic.
milking a cow?
You're,
That's
like you're
romantic.
pulling down a rope like that.
Oh, a pantomime.
Kind of the same as milking a cow, honest.
That reminds me of the vampire that you met at the floating market who drinks moonlight.
Yes.
Maybe that's where you learned that from. So yeah, weaving moonlight into silk threads that you consume. That sounds very interesting.
That sounds very fabulous.
Yeah.
Also,
Waste of
sorry, I
time.
can't get happy with my light.
Oh, you look great.
It won't be the right shade. The right shade that I need is in between two of them.
Yeah.
So if you could roll one die in the chat, and that will tell us. I'm gonna get my
Failure.
tarot card.
One.
That's okay.
Yeah.
A failure in drawing down the moon isn't much of a failure. So everybody regains 1 willpower and 2 essence. There are no complications with drawing down the moon, so no worries. Can anybody wanted to check chat? Wanted to make sure that there are no weird audio hiccups there. All right. So I think that still leaves a lot of recovery that you all need to do.
Yes.
Seth needs the most healing. So do we want to start there for downtime actions?
Sure, sounds good.
What I was
Shall we
thinking
fish
for
hard?
I was thinking for downtime actions, we could just pick one of our downtime actions that we want to sort of play out, and the rest we can just do as dice rolls.
Okay.
So Seth is probably going to need someone to either work some magic on them or use those first aid kits that you all have.
Breath of life.
Oh yeah, that'll work. Is that one of your abilities?
Yep, concentrate plus 1 essence. Remove poison. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Or ease an individual's diseases. I have allergies.
What else can it do?
Well, it can also reanimate a dead person.
Well, I don't think Seth is that far gone yet.
So that is. Sorry.
Yeah, that'll definitely help if it was you needed to, someone had burned hands and you needed to heal their hands so that they could do some fine work or something. But it doesn't actually really tackle any wounds specifically.
But I could try first aid again. We had some decent successes in the past working together on that regard, and by working together I mean they give me their first aid kit and I stop them from dying.
All right, what action roll do you want to make? for the first aid
I
kit.
will utilize a study roll. I will use my understanding of the fish anatomy, which I have developed a little bit because I've done this to help them many times now. I'm becoming a fish doctor, a marine biologist.
You're just training to learn to make me into sashimi.
You caught me. So what ailments do you have again, darling?
I have a mangled hand, and I'm concussed at level 2, and I have a dislocated shoulder at level 3.
My goodness. All right. Well, I suppose what I actually end up tackling will depend on the dice roll, won't it?
Yeah, true.
Let's see if I have any luck with that. It's a failure, my goodness. So I try to pop your shoulder and I make it worse.
Well, a 3 isn't the absolute worst. Let's see. That's going to clear 1 level 1 harm, or move a level 2 harm down 1 level if you don't have any level 1 harms.
Okay, I will
You can
move my
pick which one.
concussed down, because I think that's the worst of the two.
Okay.
The issue is that I am also concussed, and so I did a very poor job of fixing you up.
Alright, so that's one of your downtime actions. And you can also use Faith Roots to take additional downtime actions.
Which you have plenty of.
Okay. So I will do another. I will restore some willpower, I think, because I'm about half full.
Okay. Oh, and I think if I remember right, you were all holding on to 1 additional Faith Root for Madeline when she came back after the last session. So, Vespertine, you can add a Faith Root to your character sheet.
We got rewards last time and we saved one for you.
Thanks.
Alright. So, yeah, just describe your therapeutic situation and roll the lower of Resolve or Insight.
My therapeutic situation, Rupert and I are just gonna sit in some low tide and just try to relax and deprocess after last time.
Okay.
And I rolled the lowest of my insight or what you said?
Insight or Resolve.
Insight or resolve. Okay. A partial success at a 5.
Nice. That is going to recover 2 willpower.
Can I use my downtime action to give anyone
I'm
else
sorry?
power?
Sounded like someone was talking, but I couldn't quite make it out.
My mute might have been buggered again, darling. I was informing Lilith that their mic is sealed.
You're also cutting in and out.
Am I? That's disappointing.
Sounds a little better now.
I'll just get closer to the microphone.
I asked if I could use my downtime action to help someone else get their willpower back.
You can join anyone that's doing a restore willpower, and both of you gain +1 die if you work together. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't need any willpower restored.
Gotcha.
But there's plenty of things you can do if you've got more downtime actions, darling. Start projects.
Yeah, we have some long-term projects that are ongoing. We have What is Malachor? And can't read the other one. it's upside down from here. But we have at least that, as well as anything you all might have on your character sheets. But yeah, you have one filled in out of a 6 clock on studying what is this creature called Malachor.
Could I use one of my fey fruits as an additional downtime action to see if we can do any more Malachor research?
Sure.
And how would I roll for that?
You pick the action that you want to use.
Okay.
And, yep. Don't forget you also have a contact that's an occult historian that you could make
They now
yourself
roll with 1 dice.
and get +1 die.
That's our contact Quinn.
Yep.
Okay. So we've already done 1 out of 6, you said, for
Yep.
that's right. So I will consort with Quinn about what we already know, and we will study together to see if anything comes about anything that they might be aware of. So I just do I just use the amount of dice for my study, or
+1 for Quinn.
Complete success out of 6.
Awesome. That is going to fill in 3 ticks on that clock, leaving you only 2 remaining to have that clock filled. So you're getting some pretty good information. Quinn has been able to find you some books. I think you guys got some information last time that it's underworld and probably demonic, and so that's where you start looking. Yeah, that is enough to get you a pretty good lead on figuring out what books to research. So find out more information about this entity. All right, that's your 3 downtime actions. You can continue to use Fey Fruit if you need to.
Somebody else's turn.
Okay. Morningstar, would you like to take your downtimes?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I think I need to address my willpower situation. It's rather dismal right now. Not going to be very useful if I don't fix that. It takes some time myself. So, I'm going to chain smoke a whole carton of cigarettes, and hopefully that will make my evening a little bit less stressful. And that is the lower of my insolence and resolve. Yes?
Yep. Correct.
Oh. I pressed the wrong button again. There we go. A partial success.
nice.
5.
Alright, you regain 2 willpower.
Alright. I might not need to actually do something else to relax at that rate. Do we have any gin?
We can if you want it.
Alright.
There might be rubbing alcohol in the first aid kit.
Yes, alright, I'll drink the rubbing alcohol.
I mean, I keep gin on me. Of course I do.
I think it's safe to assume that my character doesn't go far without a bottle somewhere. So I shall drink heavily, and hopefully that will give me some will to keep going. And it's another partial success, so does that bring me down 2 more?
2 more. Yep.
Alright.
I heard
That
all
was
the
a very
smoking and
debaucherous
drinking.
evening.
Yeah.
No doubt she
Very
gets a deep voice.
Lonely debauchery.
Oh yes, if anyone else is there, it's no good.
Anya?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a willpower restore as well.
Okay. What's your therapeutic situation?
Maybe we should have smoked together.
Yeah, that's true. She's gonna go and spend some time in her graveyard tending flowers.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, messed it up.
Close.
So close. I gotta complete
Ooh.
that.
That's gonna be restore 3.
Okay, cool. I will
You
take
were
it.
one pip away from restore 5.
Aw.
That's critical.
Yeah. Alright.
Alright.
What else?
I want to roll on that long-term project to find out what Malachor is.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do, I guess, sure.
Maybe Seth brought some books back from the study and
Yeah,
can bring those back for you to look at.
and that'll give me a +1 die.
Sure.
Partial success.
Hey, that is the last 2 dudes on the what is Malachor?
Yay!
Awesome.
Well, now we know what
So-
Malachor is.
Yes, and now you all shudder. But I will save that for the end of downtime. And Vespertine. Some of the things that your character can do that don't restore, like restore willpower and restore essence, aren't much use to you right now. And they finished up the long-term project, so you can always do. What's that?
They finished that.
Yep, they sure did.
Okay.
You can do personal training. You can train any of your attributes or your grimoire. You can do acquire an asset if there's something in particular you want temporary access to. You can craft a charm or begin crafting an artifact. You can lead a greater ritual. I think we might have some good greater rituals. Anya, will you?
I think it's right of the Draglok.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do
Yeah,
charms do? Can I make a charm that makes me less visible? Like I can more easily be sneaky?
Yeah, absolutely. You just pick a component that has something to do with sneakiness. Alrighty. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I think we are back up and running. We were discussing Madeline. Oh, we missed a Madeline.
Back. Getting coffee.
Welcome back. Getting puppy.
We had Hermes out earlier, but she was being too clingy.
Aw.
So what I think I would like to do is train my grimoire. And craft a charm that will help me be more sneaky.
Oh, yeah.
Better.
So, Quicksilver. These are just things that are like popping in my head. Quicksilver, maybe obsidian, maybe incense, like smoke.
Alive community.
Any of those things could be your material component for your charm.
Okay. Well, I don't know how this works.
You just pick a material component, and its resonance, which would in your case be like sneakiness, and then you make a craft roll.
Okay.
And
I'm
if
going
you
to You said some kind of silver?
Quicksilver? Yeah, mercury.
Okay.
Don't drink it or touch it.
Or obsidian?
Yep, yeah, you could use an obsidian stone.
I think I'm gonna use obsidian and then sneakiness, and I don't have anything in my craft.
That's okay, you can roll 0 dice for that. You can also spend a second downtime action to get +1 die.
Ooh.
And it says, charm can be a spell jar, hex bag, poppet, potion, concoction, poultice, brew, magic circle, doorway mark, or nearly any other type of physical spell work. Start with your intended effect and the primary component, and add any number of other components to match your intentions. Spend a downtime action and make a craft roll. It's as simple as that. So your intention is sneakiness.
Yeah.
And your component is obsidian?
And I'm making a necklace.
Okay, cool.
Now I feel inspired.
It's going to be very pretty.
Roll. Enchanted.
Do you want to use?
Can I?
Do you want to use a fey fruit to get an extra die?
Yes, because I also do want to do the studying. So I have. So what I'm thinking is, if it's possible, I want to wait to choose my grimoire power until maybe at some point in the campaign when I have an idea what I might want.
Sure. There's also 15 general powers that you can choose from too.
I know.
Don't forget, didn't you want the? Oh no, you magically got a fancy familiar, didn't you?
I haven't yet chosen what that is either, but I'm not sure what combination of stuff is going to be more helpful, so I'm just waiting.
Yeah, you've got a pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I'm gonna spend a fey fruit to gain a die.
So that'll be a 1 die crafting roll.
Failure at 2.
All right. So, like most downtime actions, failure isn't really a failure. So, in this case, a 2 is
not very good charm.
Yeah, the charm will be effective only once, and then the magic fades. So you'll be able to use it once at full power, and then it'll need to be either recharged or remade. But yeah, so charm successful.
And then for the training, how do I do that?
No, there's no roll. You just add 1 experience to whatever it is you train.
That's what I thought. All right. Then my grimoire is full, and I can choose one.
Yeah.
During this play.
Yep, sounds good. And just whatever you choose, you can just choose it and use it.
Awesome. Yes.
It'll be
There are
like
some good.
A hidden power within you.
It sounded like you wanted to be able to use some kind of healing power. That might have been partially why you took Breath of Life.
Yes.
So there is a power called Servant's Sacrifice. Transfer the harm of another person to yourself, and during that transfer, even though it's painful, you may reduce each level of harm as it is transferred. So basically, you take someone else's wounds and you can heal them while they're coming over to you.
You can get yourself a slightly dislocated shoulder.
Yeah, you feel the pain of their wound, but you don't have to. If you spend a point of essence, you don't actually take the wound.
Okay.
So,
well,
yeah.
I will think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would flip through all those general powers. There are some really cool ones in there. All right. So is that everybody's downtime actions, or do anybody else want to spend fey fruits?
I'm tempted, but with the market value of these, I'd rather just hold on to them. Who knows who we're going to have to bribe?
All right, so what's Malachor?
All right. Malachor is a powerful demonic entity that is blamed for the bubonic plague.
Oh, dang.
Apparently, it is it's able to take over living creatures and put them in a state similar to death. And if it is in them, and if it stays in them for too long, then they do die.
All this is very interesting.
Seems like a fun person to bring around.
And apparently that's the spirit that they put inside their animatronic. And apparently part of their plan was to, when they die, to become exactly the kind of spirits that could continue to amass power for this entity. It was their patron spirit as their coven.
Great guys.
Now you know why they were Hollis's rival.
You're doing death the wrong way.
Perverting the order of nature.
On Earth is the point of eternal life if it's just serving something else.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of any of the little adventures that were ongoing that you were all considering taking on in the past.
We never followed up with the suspicious delivery truck.
That's it, I think.
And we haven't decided or located those two people that saved the church.
And Treebeard.
Treebeard.
Yeah, Big Ed had Yeah, Big Ed has a job for you as well. If you end up going back there.
Do you have the Louisiana accent in you this evening?
I don't know that I do, but but are there any of the Coven's allies or enemies that you all might be interested in assisting or striking, potentially to get your hands on some bigger and better artifacts?
We could go burn down more nun enclaves before they have too much time to recover.
If I remember right now you're still at no status with them, so they don't even know that they're your rival.
Helps when you kill all the witnesses.
You did let two of them slip between your fingers, yeah.
The kinky ones.
Hollis or Anya, do you want to take a look at the Coven sheet and see who you guys have negative status with? I'm pretty sure you have a -2 with
Corpus Templi Solaris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they hoard artifacts, and they're not witches, so they're kind of an easier target.
They are for you. But that doesn't stop just before, I suppose.
You've probably hit them multiple times in the past. So if you wanted to get some information about their sort of comings and goings, over the last little while. That might elucidate a target.
Could be fun.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Let's go for it. We have a ball
Not
now.
witches.
Might be able to get some cool stuff.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing on willpower at this point?
Pretty good.
I'm at 3, which is manageable.
Steph's back under half.
Thankfully.
Okay, good. Alright. Who wants to gather information, or... I can just give you a little bit of what you already know about them, which is that they are a quasi-religious institution that hoards magical artifacts, despite the fact that they have no witches in their employ that can use them. They just sequester them away in hidden places. They have presence out in the ocean. They have presence in the middle of Manhattan. You can find their testing sites where they test to make sure that the people that join their organization are not witches, all over the city. And their headquarters is here in Manhattan as well. They also have several boats, several like yachts and cruise liners that they go out onto the water with.
Shall we play pirate?
Yeah, let's burn some boats down.
Oh no, darling. Let's sequester ourselves onto a boat and take it over. We could have a luxury liner for ourselves.
We should just steal boats.
We do have a boathouse. I don't
We'd
know
have
if it'll fit
I don't think that would fit in our boat.
a cruise liner, but
We'd have to paint the boat.
That's
Yeah,
true.
give it a paint job, file off the serial numbers.
Well, I have pay fruits. I'm sure somebody will paint it for a pay fruit.
We use wild magic to change the shape of the boat.
That is something that has not been done yet in this game. No wild magic has been cast. That could potentially get you guys into a pretty good place, or into a pretty bad place, depending on how you roll. The gather information rolls are free, effectively. They come with consequences, but they don't cost downtime actions. So if anyone has an idea about how they might gather information, that might be a good place to start, since they are a wealthy target, effectively.
Do they, I suppose, they must dock their boats occasionally?
They must. So
We could
if you want to know
the
where...
harbor and discover which boat has the most luxury amenities. I mean,
Yeah.
which one's the most defensible? The least defensible.
Okay. Does anyone have a contact that's like a dock worker or something? Actually, I think
have
Seth
a
does.
rival as a dock worker.
Ooh, a rival.
Goodness.
I love how we're like 60-40 for whether you guys deal with rivals or allies in the favor of rivals.
They seem to come up more often than not, but we still haven't bumped into Pedro yet.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have some kind of leverage over your rival, or something like that, or can come up with any, maybe
Currently,
it's
I only
time to
have
just make a
written that,
payment.
Maybe, because I have them written as they're blackmailing me in exchanging of not ratting me out to the order. So maybe
Yeah.
I give them something.
Maybe it's
I
time to
haven't.
bring them a fey fruit.
Yes, actually, because I wrote him down as mortal as well. So that works out. I got one fey fruit left. I can use my reward from last time.
Here, I can give you one to give to him. I have
No,
3.
it's my rival. It's okay. It's my fault
Yeah, but
anyway.
it's for a boat, so.
We still have to kill a bunch of people to take the boat on.
Well, if you give me a fruit, then you get to design the boat. You get free reign.
It's gonna be black.
Okay.
Can it be black and gilded in gold?
Oh yeah, like a coffin.
Can we have like red sails and stuff?
Sure.
Assuming there
Yep.
would be sails in this day and
This
age,
is-
but we could have
They're
them for aesthetic
decorative
purposes.
Decorative sails.
Decorative.
For
Yeah.
And we
The
could have a
sails are
mermaid
strictly
figurehead that looks like Seth.
Aw.
All right. What action do you want to use for that, Seth?
I guess consort probably makes the most sense.
Sure. Yeah, you
I don't
can
have
be
a point in
friendly
that,
with
so
your.
Bring him a drink.
so I don't have any points in that, so I will do 2 willpower to try to make that go a little bit better.
Okay.
So he is a rival.
Sure. Right.
Complete success! There we go.
Wow.
Oh, John.
Okay. Well, apparently, what's your? Do you have a name for this?
His name's Vinny.
Oh, right.
That's right.
Uh-oh.
Probably just disguise yourself as a dock worker.
I feel an offensive accent coming on. No, actually, I don't. But
All right, darling. Nobody cares what New Yorkers think. Not even New Yorkers.
well, he's probably from Jersey.
Oh god.
True.
All right. So you catch him at a really good time. He basically uses you to make him look good while he is out on a date. He has brought his date to the docks. And
You can't make that look good.
well, when a random fishy witch comes up to you and gives you something that's worth about $10,000,
Probably
you
means
kind of
you're a
look
criminal.
like you're.
Red flags.
Well,
I mean, if he has a
Apparently-
jersey accent,
apparently she's wearing rose-colored glasses because the red flags just look like flags.
Poor thing.
I mean, $10,000 for the fake fruit can buy you a pretty nice dinner.
or
Yeah.
one decent pair of shoes.
So yeah, she's kind of a gaunt-looking woman. She looks like she doesn't eat well, and yeah. But he comes out looking like a king in all this, and yeah, he makes a point to meet up with you as soon as the sun goes down on the docks to give you the information that you're looking for. So you get 3 questions. What do you want to know?
Well, let's think of this gang. So I guess we want to know which boat is theirs that we can
Mhm.
take.
And which one's the nicest? Don't say that we can take. My goodness, we don't want to be indicted. Oh,
Less of a borrow and more of a procure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if it's a
do
boat
we-
you're after... Mm-hmm. Go
Do
ahead.
we know where their sea base is? Would that be a question we could ask him?
Yeah, so I would say he's seen it come in for repairs, but it's like... So you've heard of houseboats? It's like a house city.
Ooh.
It has multiple decks. Basically an old cruise ship that they've purchased and retrofitted to be, like I said, kind of like a floating city. So they can...
Are we talking? Like, did they strip out the nightclub, and the buffet, the spa?
Probably yes. They're
must
not really the clubbing types.
Don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll fix it.
We can do the clubbing.
Yeah.
Just like I did to those baby seals on my trip up north last month.
Oh. So that's what the ghosts that are following you around are. Poor baby seal ghosts.
Oh no. So we're gonna figure out which boat to take. We're gonna ask, where are we gonna go? What do you guys
So
think?
that boat that he's referring to, the last time it was in dock was about 2 months ago, so he doesn't expect it to see it back in dock until winter, so another like 2 months. But he knows in general its route, so you could definitely intercept it, but it's not in dock. That's the
We don't have
nicest
a boat
boat.
of our own. You have to approach these big boats with small ones anyways these days. I mean, piracy is not about who has the biggest ship, it's about who can sneak up on the other one.
True. So can our boat that we own do large open water traversing?
No, but that's not really anything you have to worry about. When you're moving around between all these islands, you're not really out in the open ocean. You're in much calmer waters.
Yeah, but is the boat that we're looking for, is it out in open waters?
Most likely not.
Okay.
Although it could, for sure. But judging by the fact that it's going to be docking within the next month or two, probably not that far.
Okay. So how do we find it?
Yep, he can, yeah, if that's something Seth wants to ask, he can give you the coordinates. Okay.
Because if it's not gonna show up for a bit, but he knows the route, then that works out for us. We can intercept.
Yep, he'll give you that, and you get one more question.
Do they have weapons?
I'm sure they have weapons, darling.
What kind of weapons? Big guns, little guns.
Another question would be,
Weapons.
when they dock, how much food do they load onto their ship? That would let us know how many people are likely being kept on the ship.
Yeah, so Seth, what would you prefer? Weapons or food? How much food they bring aboard?
Well, we haven't exactly had a problem with groups, but it might be helpful to know what kind of weapon we were up against. Because they're not going to be magical, because they don't like magic people, so it might be just good knowing what we're getting ourselves into. So I'd like to ask about the weapons.
Yeah, so this thing has a really unusual weapon. It has the giant harpoon gun of an old whaling ship on the front of it.
Okay.
Apparently, whoever retrofitted this was a enthusiast of whaling.
Moby Dick.
We could open our own whaling enterprise.
It's an antique. We could sell it.
We could sell whalebone corsets.
Mm. You need to get your crafting score above 0.
I really do.
Any of us have a crafting score above 0.
I have 1.
There we go. Hollis is the crafter of the group.
And I craft too much in order to not have anything at crafting.
All right. So you know where it's going to be and how to intercept it. Is that the beginnings of a plan?
Yeah, let's go get it.
We can also plan out exactly what we're going to do when we get there so we don't panic. Of course, we can't control any unfortunate situations that might spring up, but if we
So-
were to sneak up, we could try and kill a guard or two and replace one, perhaps. Stage a coup from within.
Maybe I could summon some underworld fog and give us some cover.
Nice.
We have
So an
the rope.
arcane plan with
Yeah, that sounds good.
invoke charges. All right.
It's certainly much easier to sneak up if there's fog.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. All right. So all right. Let's do the checklist for engagement rolls. This is an arcane plan or arcane method. And what's the actual plan? So there are like 52 or 54 plan choices in that drop-down list. But
Pirate one of them.
I think there are some that are very close to that. Yeah. Basically, you're doing a like takeover.
Yeah, I guess.
Take over.
Commandeer.
Commandeer.
We want
don't
to
think
live
it's
on a
listed.
giant floating city.
If you guys get this, that's gonna be a whole new potential coven stead.
Yeah.
A traveling one.
Mm-hmm.
Changes the whole definition of boat house.
And you'll definitely go from -2 to -3 with the faction, but
Ooh.
reduce their power significantly. So
We'll just aim our new harpoon gun directly at their evil. But let's not
Yeah,
count
so-
on dragons before we hatch.
So just FYI, if this doesn't go well, you might start a war between them and your coven.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We can win a war.
Yeah.
It'll be subtle. It'll be very subtle.
I mean, the fog is a great opener for that, for subtlety. All right. So we're going to start with 1 die for sheer luck, and then a die for each major advantage. Yeah, I don't think they really have no way of working with fog. So how many essence do you want to spend on making that fog thick, luxurious, and large?
Some pea soup, fog.
Mhm.
I
That'll
guess
tell me.
the maximum amount that I can spend on this one thing. So it's like 4
That
essence?
would be 4, and that would give you a level 5 fog bank.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. I'm gonna say with 4 essence, that will give you a +2 die major advantage.
Okay.
I'm also gonna say that the stealthiness of the fact that you're coming on your own boat, that is, of your coven stead, is going to balance out the fact that they're higher tier. They're tier 2 or 4? 3, okay. Split the difference. Okay. Okay. So that's going to be 3 dice. So
Plus whatever my skill is, or just 3 dice maximum.
No, you won't need to roll.
Okay.
For Invoke Tartarus, because it's part of the plan. So,
Okay.
but since it's your spell, I'll let you roll it. So actually, roll 4 dice.
4 dice. Okay.
Yeah. This will tell us what situation we're in when we start.
A partial success.
Okay. All right, partial success.
It's close to all the others with failures.
You're in a risky position when the action starts. So it's thick as pea soup fog covering the entire boat. You're able to get up to the boat and use climbing gear to get up on the decks. Where would each of you be heading as soon as you get up onto the decks? You've got your boat lashed to the side of their boat, and well hidden, so nothing to worry about there.
Maybe
so splitting up,
the control, the driving room, where the steering wheel is.
The captain's room.
Yeah.
The hull? No,
the helm.
Helm.
That's the word.
I know quite a bit about ships.
I know nothing.
After you're done, you can say, "I took a big ship today."
Oh no.
Okay. Well, in that case, everyone's going up to the helm? Or are some of you splitting off to do something else?
The helm will likely be the place where we'll run into trouble. So if we all go different ways, going to leave some of us in a sore position.
I would like to go with Hollis.
Hollis, did you say where you were headed?
To the helm. The steering
Okay. So everyone to the helm? That's a question. Vespertine?
Yes.
Madeline to the helm? Okay.
Yes.
All right. In that case, you come to the exterior-most set of doors that leads into where you will have to travel down to get to the helm. But you can see these thick, bulletproof glass windows built in there around the door, and you're able to navigate up to those doors, but you can hear chatter coming from just inside. It's just a single door, so only one person will be able to get in at a time.
Is the door completely sealed? Just wondering if I can shapeshift into like a bug and crawl underneath. So if someone comes in, I could maybe be in there.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
locked?
watertight. It's a watertight seal, but no, it's not locked.
Oh, well, let's just open the door then.
We should prepare ourselves.
I grow out
Seal
my
yourself.
talent. I go ahead and grow out my talent.
Okay. Spend that essence. And where are you growing that?
On my hand, of course.
Just checking.
I'm just waiting for the day you grow it out of your face and just say, unicorn!
It's too pretty, okay?
All right. So, the person with the talon going in first, or someone else?
Well, Hollis is nice and small. We could hop over Hollis.
Yeah, I'll open the door, and you guys can just get them.
Just leapfrog our way in.
Yeah.
Can we see through this window before we try anything? Is there any possibility?
Yeah, you could. It'll be a risky action because right now you're being obscured by all the fog. But if you get up close enough to the window to be able to see in real well, you'll probably make yourself visible as well.
So we could either open the door and charge inside, or we could bang on the door and try to get them to come outside.
What about a spider on the window? They think that's weird?
That's not weird.
Spiders are off at sea all the time, darling. Once they get trapped on a bed, they don't have anywhere to go. Question is whether we risk charging into a situation that we have information.
You could send Whisper to look in the window.
That is true, yes. I can't imagine that a spider's going to attract too much attention.
Okay. What do you want to roll for that?
Well, I suppose Prowl's really the only option, isn't it? I can't really imagine how to use my study or my finesse for that, but...
You could do a survey if you have any survey.
Yeah, the survey's as bad as my...
I mean, study would work. You could definitely study the room to see what's inside of it.
I suppose. I mean, again, I don't know
Or
that they
if
would
there's any other
notice
doors
a spider
leading
that
out.
small in the first place. So. Yes, well, I suppose I study the room.
Okay. Risky study. Standard effect.
Is it risky?
Cramming the day before an exam. Risky study.
For a spider, is it still risky? Because would they still freak out if they saw you?
Maybe they're all arachnophobic.
Yeah, I could see that going down to controlled. Yeah, they're probably not gonna, they're probably not gonna take any massively violent action. So
Somebody runs at the door with a shoe.
Kill it with fire.
Start burning down the entire ship. This is why they took a job out on the cruise liner instead of in Manhattan, because they didn't want to have to deal with spiders. Alright, well, let's see if Little Whisper manages to bungle it horribly. They do.
Okay.
My goodness.
So I think with all the humidity and salty water out here and everything, they're just having a hard time climbing up the walls and getting up onto the window. And yeah, it's just not working for them. You could hold them up, and
then that would be very risky.
Yeah. So you could go to a riskier position. You could and figure out a way to hold them up or something to see. But yeah, they're not getting any information on their own.
I mean, I have Ribbert, so he's got little sticky frog feet.
Sticky frog, yeah.
The frog would likely be a bit less sneaky.
Yeah. Do you want to try that?
Sure, yeah, we'll give that a go. I will.
So we'll call that a withdraw from Whisper.
And I have 2 points in study, so I'll do a study for Ribbert to try to check them.
Okay.
Partial success at a 5.
Okay. You can see 2 armed men wearing uniforms standing inside the room with guns on their hips. Your Ribbert leaps up onto the window and sticks and gets a good look around, and then ducks back out of the way before anybody sees it.
Is there a fire alarm on the boat?
You want to go search for one?
Dang. The easy way to get people to try to leave the boat, or to come out anyway, to investigate.
It's
There
most
might be a
likely
warning bell on the helm,
for sure.
like a storm bell.
Mm-hmm. And
I
probably
mean, you
on
did read all this log.
the interior sections are more likely to have fire alarms than the exterior sections.
Yeah.
Before we head off to find any fire alarms, Seth, darling, did either of those men look distinctly dignified?
No, they looked very workaday.
So not the captain.
Mm-mm. They looked like deckhands with elevated responsibilities for security.
So they're going to assume that anybody who is human passing on this boat is not a witch, because they would assume that they're their people.
If you're suggesting me, darling, I'm in a dress.
I would say generally that's a safe assumption with that group, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Elise would stand out like a sore thumb.
Yes, and it's too much in my nature to put on a costume. I mean, God, I'm going to put on trousers. That's expected.
Does the fish person need to dress as a sailor?
Alright.
I mean,
yeah, they are.
On my head,
They are.
I won't pass as a human.
There's no way Hollis is passing.
It's just a bracelet, guys. This horn, yeah, it's just
I won't wear a sailor's costume, but if we find a sailor, I'll wear their mind.
Well, that's something you could do. Is
do that through the window?
Yeah, do that through the window. Also, I was going to say, they look like they're wearing costumes as well. I would call they look like sailors, but in a costumey kind of way. They look like they're cosplaying sailors.
They went to a costume shop. They went to Spirit Halloween on the 1st of November. They'll sell some cheap sailor costumes.
Yeah, maybe
they're doing Popeye impressions to each other.
They've injected their arms full of silicone.
maybe check their thoughts and see if they are actually good at their jobs, or like sailors, or what they're expecting to be doing here.
So, surface thoughts?
Yeah.
I suppose I could reach into their mind from here. I don't know if it would be the most useful. Because I can only... Well, I suppose no, you...
You have a grimoire sense that lets you read surface thoughts.
Yes. Would that be...
You can choose what you want to use for that. Focus makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so... Let's see. Alright. Where is it? Ah, there it is. Alright. I suppose that would likely be a focus, then. Essentially. So I will attempt to focus and see if I can reach out to find out a little tiny bit.
I'm going to say this is risky.
Alright. Well, that's unfortunate because I only have one dice in focus. But it's a partial success.
Okay. Well, you get 2 questions as far as their surface thoughts. Let me just give you a sort of general reading, and then you can probe a little deeper with your other questions. So the general surface thoughts that you get without any kind of particular probing is that this is the thickest fog that they've seen in the 2 tours that they've done, and that they're so ready to be off this boat that it is not the life that they were told that it would be, and that they're not getting enough nourishment on the boat. Anything a little deeper you want to get?
Yes, I suppose. I'm thinking of something that I cannot do, so I'm trying to put that out of my bloody mind right now. I would like to know more about how many people they know are present on the ship. I assume one of them would know that very readily on the top of their mind. Rough estimate,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, several dozen.
Several dozen.
Possibly as many as 100 people aboard. And you get this you get this thing in his head about their grades. That it's a lot of people who have reached a certain level.
See.
And he should look up to them, but he doesn't.
All right, and then I suppose, other than that, I am curious if these 2 individuals, if this one that I reached into has an understanding of the other, I'm not sure. If they are of a high grade, or if they're really just unnamed henchmen. Or worse, henchmen with very boring names. Maybe we can't divide that.
I'm sorry, were those directed at me?
Yes.
I was questioning whether or not these 2, whether they are exactly prepared to handle any sort of. I assume in their mind they don't know there's one there, but
generally, but they haven't seen any kind of threats up to this point, so they're prepared but untested, and that's about all you can get from your from the surface reading.
Well, if there's quite a lot of people on this ship, then if Zep was to disguise themselves as some random human face in one of those ridiculous costumes, seems like they wouldn't immediately know that it was a foreign face.
Sure. Yeah, you have a pretty good mental image of what that person who you were in their mind, at least their own interpretation of what they look like. You could sort of see what they would see if they looked in a mirror, but their idealized version of themselves.
The Chad version.
Yeah. So yeah, you could probably pass that information to Seth, and Seth might be able to do a suitable facsimile if that was something you were interested in.
It would give you the opportunity to say, "I am you, but better," if they ask you who you are, which is quite exciting.
Anything you're interested in there, Seth?
Oh, yep, sorry, I was assuming we were just doing that. I was waiting for Elise to say, yes, I'm going to pass that information along, or let the fish person figure it out on their own.
Pass the information on to everyone. If this is the plan we want to go with, I mean, seems sensible to take these two out. They're the only ones in the hill.
I mean, I'm gonna have to sneak around anyway because I obviously don't look like a person, so I'm gonna be fairly suspicious in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you relay that info to me about what he looks like and what he thinks he looks like and his attitude, then I can work on being a carbon copy.
That's the question. When I was in his mind, did I get any information on what the captain looked like?
Not on the surface, no. You'd have to probe deeper for something like that.
Well, it could be a start. Or we could just go in and kill them. Quickly.
My talon. It's been ready.
I mean,
your
we could
charm.
kill him and then I could copy him. No reason one negates the other.
Yeah.
If we were to just open the door, leave it open, not make ourselves evident by it, perhaps curiosity will do the trick for us.
Set up an ambush, effectively.
Push him overboard.
If these two are right involved, we could at the very least set up, a little trap for them. Be better than trying to rush in there one at a time. Give them time to draw their weapons.
I have fearsome omens now, so I could just scare the shit out of them, and maybe they would just, surrender.
You do have that. Do you want to describe to everyone what that is?
So anyone who seeks to harm you or your domain, if their tier exceeds your coven tier, the victims only perceive disturbing sights or smells of the player's choice. Otherwise, the minions flee, and important NPCs reconsider facing you. So I just scare them.
Like scaring people.
It's Halloween not too long ago. It's in the spirit of things.
Yeah, it would be spoopy.
Yeah, so they will need to see you.
That's fine. I'll just pop up in the window and just,
Do little sticky fingers too.
I'll just jump up and down and jump up and down.
Bobbing in and out of view of the window.
What is that?
Yeah, that sounds like that could be a great setup action for an ambush.
I'm down.
Okay.
Have to send an ambush. And then I guess depending on what their tier technically is, how scared of me they are.
Yep. I'm gonna put them at 3.
Okay.
So as expected.
But they're minions.
Yeah, you're right. Let's make it 2.
All right, so they're a little bit higher tier than me. So let's see.
They would be. You get to choose the sights and smells and sounds, or sights and smells.
I want to look like a dead sailor. Like I just crawled out of Davy Jones's locker and crawled up on the ship, and then gonna bang on the door and look as terrifying as I can.
Like you're all bloated and slimy from being in the water.
Fish eating holes and
remind them of their mortality if they fall into the water. What will happen to them?
We'll just have Seth come around to the other window so that we have a map. Terrifying sea creature either way.
Unacceptable.
Seth, darling, why don't you just turn into a kraken?
I guess that would involve like dire form. We'll save that. We'll keep that in our back pocket for later.
For sure. All right.
I suppose they do have a giant harpoon as well.
True.
Birdman all over again.
Okay. So, yep, that Hollis, that action sets them scrambling, and they immediately start calling in the anomaly on their walkie-talkies. And then after some furious yelling between them and whoever they're talking to on their walkie-talkie, they decide that they have to go out of the room to do something about you. So they pull their guns, check them, and make sure they are ready for action. And then they throw open the door and head out onto the pea soup fog covered deck, where they will have a hard time locating you. Alright, so who wants to take an action?
I think our dice bot just went to sleep.
Yes, but if we
Okay.
roll it, we'll wake up, I'm sure.
I'll check. Feedback. Alright. Okay, good. Nice failure for you there. Not that was
Get that
anybody.
right out of the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saved us.
So they've
Alright.
called the alarm anomaly. Have they left the room, or are they still in?
They're
They're
coming
they're
towards us.
coming, they're coming out of the room into the fog to try to find Hollis and eliminate her.
So which of us has the highest spring?
You could also do a group action. That way, it's not so important who has the highest.
Indeed, we could all just spring on them.
Yeah, we could do that. I only have one
could
in
use
spring,
Master
so
Planner
group
as
might
well.
be good.
Yeah, I would say everybody that's involved gets +1 die from the current setup action, and increased effect from the pea soup fog. So, pretty significant setup here. Vespertine, do you want to be in on this spring action with your claw?
Yeah, let me double check. Yeah. Hang on.
So for everybody, that's a spring +1 die if you want to be involved. And you
Okay.
just describe what it is you're doing.
Do we need to wait for Elise to do any master planner stuff first, or can we just?
Ooh, that's...
But I could do a setup.
Well, yeah, Master Planner could come in handy here.
Seems
If
the
you
most
want to lead
sensible
the
thing to
action.
do. Yes, I can lead the action. I do only have 3 willpower at the moment, anyhow, which is
Awesome.
not too high. So I get us all ready. When they come out, first things first, knock the gun out of their hands and debilitate their ability to shout.
So go for the
After that,
first.
we can figure out what to do with them, but we need to make sure that they cannot call for more help.
Okay. We're gonna go up 1 more effect level because you guys have them outnumbered as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to be at extreme effect, but still risky because they do have locked and loaded guns. So everybody can make a spring +1 die. Hollis, are you joining in the action as well?
Yeah,
Failure for me.
Okay.
I got a
Oh, dear.
failure as well.
So
I got a
spring
partial success out of 5.
Awesome.
+1. Did you say?
Yes. Spring +1.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 2 die for me.
Nice.
Completely.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So we're looking at 3 willpower for you to lead the action. And then Master Planner reduces that to only 1.
Right, well, that's not too bad at all.
And everybody gets the results of complete success. So, who wants to disarm, and who wants to go for the throat?
Go for the throat.
Okay, we need one more go for the throat.
Am I able to use shapeshift in this action?
Sure.
As I would like to do octopus arms if I can to try to grab them both around the neck.
Okay. Okay. Yep, sounds good to me. It is, Seth, you got the partial success, and Madeline, you got the complete success. So yeah, let's go with that. So yeah, let's say there's just one gun left, but neither of them are going to be able to scream, and no ill effects for you. So they bust through the door and start pointing their guns around everywhere, and an octopus drops onto them from above as Madeline goes for the throat with her claw, and the first one gurglingly falls to the deck, and the other is furiously pointing his gun into the fog without being able to acquire a target.
Let
Alright,
him
what do you all want to do next?
I would like to utilize my cat o' nine tails to try to grasp the gun out of his hand.
Okay, what do you want to use for that?
That seems like a finesse roll to me.
Sounds good to me.
I imagine it would be quite tactile.
I'm going to give you increased effect risky because it's got so many tails.
There's so many tails, it's like the octopus all over again. It's a complete success.
Nice.
Awesome. Alright, the gun is out of his hand and he is being choked to unconsciousness by an octopus if you're down with that, Seth.
Sure.
Okay.
Unless Elise wants to kind of get any more information from him before I do so.
Good point.
Well,
Like
gonna
if you
take a
wanted to still
while.
find out what the captain looked like.
might be worth doing. If I can see if I can absorb enough information to relay to Sev. Although it might not be accurate information either.
Well, it's up to you. If you don't want to tap into the inner recesses of his mind, I'll just choke slam him into the deck.
Might be more useful if we do at least try to reach into his mind. I'll do it.
This is mental takeover?
Yes, I would do a physical takeover, but obviously he's useless, so better off doing that to someone higher up the ladder.
Like the captain.
Now that would be useful. Either that or we find a way to kill the captain and make Seth take his place. But for now, I shall try to reach into this one's mind and see what I can find out. The much more important questions. So I don't really consider this my casting style, but since he's right there, I'll try and grip him by the head.
Okay. No, I like that for part of the casting style. I think that's a good start. Getting close to those brains.
Brains. The partial success.
Okay. Yeah, you have tapped into some pretty lewd thoughts that this gent has about the captain.
Oh,
So yeah,
captain, my captain.
Now I'm thinking that these won't be accurate depictions.
Yeah, so the captain is a 21-year-old blonde woman who took some marine studies courses and then was given captainship over this tour with very little experience. And from what you're gathering, spends more time watching YouTube videos about how to pilot a ship than actually doing any piloting, relying on the subordinates to do most of the work for her. But yeah, that's the only useful information you get. You
Is there-
also get a laundry list of fantasies.
Is there a chance that I can kind of grasp why this individual is with this faction?
The captain or the person you're in their mind?
The person who's being choked out, whose mind I'm in.
Okay.
Just to kind of get an idea of why.
Yeah.
They seem very, very unhappy.
Yeah. So yeah, they're in because of it was a family thing, and they were given a sort of elevated position amongst the group, and allowed to do this sort of earlier than their grade would allow them to. So, but yeah, it was not at all what they expected. You know, kind of like going to a Christian college
Hey.
after being a Christian. It's just like, yeah, this isn't what I signed up for.
But I'm wondering if we should kill him or try to recruit him.
He could be useful. I mean, he can work a gun.
Or we could just take his gun.
So, if you take a look at the gun, you do see that it is has a electronic grip on it, one of those that requires his hand.
Let's cut off his hand.
Just use.
Let's
his-
just kill him and cut off his hand.
Just use his hand to pull the trigger.
I've got dainty fingers. I'm sure they can both fit in there.
Zap turn into him with his.
Oh,
hand?
yeah.
Fish with a gun.
Most likely, it all depends on the role.
They do have a very bad hand.
So it's electronic.
That's true.
It could just blow up in our faces if we try to use it.
Yeah.
That's what I was worried about.
Your best bet for safety with the gun would be for you to do a physical takeover and use the gun in his body.
Seems like a waste for someone like this there.
Yeah.
God number 2.
So let's just be vicious and kill him and move on.
Yes, let's just do that.
Reach
Find
over.
some bigger fish to fry. At least we now know who the captain is.
I just
what they
reach
look
over
like.
and slit his throat with. Claw.
Put him out of his misery.
Carefully avoiding the octopus, I assume.
Oh, of course, yes.
I do love an octopus though.
All
I
right.
don't want to be chopped up into taco. Mm.
God damn it! Now
All
I
right.
want to be octopus and I'm vegan.
So, you
Alright,
can
darling,
hear.
every time I watch Sweeney Todd, I want a meat pie.
You hear chatter over their radios, asking for them to come in and report, but they're not reporting.
Did we get a read on his voice before I started choking him?
Scream.
Talking through the window, right? Somebody did.
They're on the radio.
So we
Oh,
didn't
yeah, you
hear
can
their
hear them.
voice.
Yeah, Yeah, you heard them. You want to try to impersonate the voice and body?
Yeah,
Or...
I could try to impersonate the voice over the walkie-talkie, still as an octopus.
Sure.
Oh my god. Do Octopi have
Mimic octopus.
Just very.
oh my goodness, it's Octodad.
Speak to the beak.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I have to do an essence, I guess, to impersonate this voice. And would I need to?
I think it's usually a study.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess study what Elise has told me from what I know about him and his personality to how he would answer. And then do my roll to kind of
Again,
bluff
it's an
over the
ideal
walkie-talkie.
version of him, so a little bit of machismo.
Okay. Fingers crossed. Partial success out of 5.
Okay.
Much machismo.
I'm gonna say it would take somebody who knows him pretty well to be able to see through your ruse. All right. And then you want to grab that walkie-talkie and see what you can manage.
Is it gonna short us out because it is technology?
It depends on how you roll. So, what would you like to use? You're trying to trick them into thinking that you're them.
Yeah.
And get them.
And
to
I
do
would
what?
like to keep it with us in case we can get an idea of their position while we're on the ship. We can at least overhear conversations.
Sure.
So maybe a sway roll?
Davy Jones has returned, and we'll lean into that.
Sure.
I will do
And
a
what's-
roll for sway.
And what's the goal?
Oh, it was a failure. The goal was to. Well, they already knew. I already bluffed that it was
it's just
my reply,
like,
but.
oh, we're fine. How are you?
Yeah. So apparently, you have got a hold of his spouse on the ship, and because of that, this person seems to have immediately spotted the ruse. Something you say, some word he says that he says in a certain accent, and you just don't match it. And
I don't call him by his nickname.
yeah, or maybe you call you call in and say "sir" or something. And yeah, so they immediately know that, and they're confused, and they stop answering anything that you any of your replies, and you hear people coming up from below deck.
I don't remember. Did you say that was risky?
Yes, which
Okay.
means that that's +1 experience.
Okay.
Because you rolled a 1.
When I was in his mind and all those linked thoughts, how much did I really grasp at the captain? Do you think I understand what her voice sounds like?
You know better what her moaning sounds like than her voice.
God.
You got the lewd and imagining, so the tits are bigger, the hair is fuller. She's got bedroom Marilyn Monroe voice.
Yeah, but you're not sure. You're not sure how realistic it is.
I'm not much of a person. Well, that's not much use. It's a good thing you killed them.
All right. So the door is currently closed again. It just sort of swung back closed, and you can hear people amassing in the hallway or in the room above deck. just outside, or just inside.
We know that the glass is bulletproof.
Yep.
We can
We
lock
should get in there
ourselves
quickly.
inside. Drive the boat back to port. Convince
No,
everybody
you
to get off.
you are all outside of that room. They are
Yeah.
inside that room.
Oh, they are inside the room
Yeah.
too.
They came up from below deck into that room.
Let me see.
Can I just go and slash everyone's throats with my?
Might
could
be
certainly-
inadvisable, darling. We don't know how many people are in there.
Yeah. You could certainly try.
I think I'd
Just
like
a
the
quick
White Claw to be
question.
comfortable with me slitting throats.
Quick question. Are we taking a break this session, or is it alright if I just go get some water quickly?
No, we can absolutely take a break. Let's
Thank you.
we will take until 9, which is about 7 minutes.
Okay.
And then come right back.
That's a good time. All right.
All
And in the
right.
meantime, we'll figure out how to get out of this grave.
Sounds good. All right. See you all in just a moment. All right. Welcome back to Nightsky Sanctum. Session, what are we at? 7?
I believe,
Wow.
is it? I suppose we have had some shorter sessions.
And a force is amassing on the inside of the ship through the glass, and you are all still on the outside in the fog with the 2 corpses. And Seth is currently an octopus with a luscious
With a distinctly
man
human
voice.
voice.
Yeah. Nice. All right, so
I'm sure
what
Steph is going to get their aspect XP this turn.
yeah. Heritage in spades.
Well, I
So-
say we should try to move back a little bit and let them discover the corpses. Give them a moment to panic. Give us a moment to plan. Rather than face an army that's coming out of the door.
Yeah.
Pull back, regroup, and get them while they're distracted looking at their comrades.
Get them while they're terrified about a killer octopus.
All right. Sounds good. Is that another group action?
Probably. It makes sense. We're all trying to escape together.
Like a group prowl, I guess.
Yeah.
I would
Sounds good.
say getting away back into the fog is not going to require an action. But after, so if you're all interested, we can take that sort of as read, and you all back into the fog, and they come out exactly the way Elise described it. Several people come out, pointing guns in all directions, gathering the corpses, and yeah, looking around for the culprits, but unable to find anyone. And at this time, you're all getting into positions
I
for
think we
some
need to
kind
drive these poor little sailors into a Lovecraftian madness.
That's kind of what I was thinking. We use some wild magic and we make them crazy so that they either all jump off of the boat and we can just drive it away, or they drive themselves back and hit the land and we get to keep the boat.
Or we can just go ridiculous with the whole thing. We do the wild magic, make them already loopy. I use dire form, show up as an actual kraken or massive octopus, and just completely make them lose their minds and jump ship.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're strange and brutal. We don't do things half-assed here.
I'm really loving the nautical theme of this episode. I'm in favor.
You're loving it. I'm the fish.
Okay.
Just make sure you don't damage the boat, darling.
Mm.
I want it intact.
So, with the Baba has the idea about some wild magic. I think the rules don't specifically say anything about this, but I think leveraging the fact that you already have your grimoire power, Fearsome Omens, and it's currently running, I would say that you would get to, if you are forced to. So I think you get the benefit of, so you can't get bonus dice to wild magic, but you can have where you get to roll twice if there's a problem and choose the better of the two wild magic consequences. So I think I'll give you that as a freebie.
Okay, I'll take it.
So
If I were to do my dire form, would that help function as a setup action to Hollis's?
wild magic is it uses a completely different system than everything else.
Okay.
So it doesn't really take setup actions. The idea is the magic is so powerful that people and other witches who see it are left in awe of the power of the magic. So
And
you
that's why
don't
the
usually
order
get
tries to get rid of it.
right. You usually don't get like standard consequences. Nobody's going to be shooting guns at you. It's kind of like during a magical girl transformation, how nobody ever interrupts it. Well, wild magic is kind of the same way. It's so powerful that even if they're pointing a gun at you, they just can't pull the trigger. But you get wild magic complications instead of standard complications, which can be literally debilitating. So that's the question.
So if I blow up, please just take me home and bury me in my graveyard.
I'm not really sure what the other option is. I think wild magic might have to be the move, and it does, again, align with the power that you've already activated.
Yeah.
I was also thinking that I
Sorry.
could use my fog that I have out as kind of like the delivery device for the magic.
Ooh,
So
gotcha.
yeah,
Anyone who breathes the fog. I like
Yeah.
that a lot, yeah.
This is very Lovecraftian.
So,
I do love it.
what is the effect or multiple effects that logically flow together?
So I'm thinking if they walk into the fog or
Breathe the fog.
breathe the fog, see the fog, they become insanely afraid because of the fearsome omens aspect that's already floating around as well.
Yeah.
And they want to leave the boat as quickly as possible, whether that be jumping off of the boat or turning the boat back towards port early and docking.
Okay.
That might be risky, darling.
All right.
Preferably
well,
everybody would just jump off of the boat, but
okay. I think, yeah, that seems more likely.
Yeah, or kill themselves. That would work too.
Okay. All right.
They
That's
could
the ideal
feasibly
outcome.
swim back to land.
Yeah, feasibly this time of year, that is possible. All right. So I'm just going to read this real quick, but it's more or less what I said earlier. Wild witches can use powers beyond those listed in their grimoire in times of great need, drawing both on raw inner power and the ambient magical energy in the world around them. They pull off feats of magic that cause sapes to quake in fear or drop to their knees in praise. Create a wild magic effect, as you've done, based on your character's grimoire, aspect, and description with the assistance of the other players and the GM. The position of wild magic is always desperate, but magical energies channeled tend to halt most sapes and witches alike in their tracks. The consequences are grand and occult in nature. You spend 3 essence, or all remaining essence if you don't have enough, 3 coven fate, 3 fey bargain, and begin a 6 clock for the immediate and imminent intervention of the Red Watch. Then make a coven tier fortune roll.
So this is going to end horribly, but it'll be fun.
Okay,
Now,
so
normally it's a 6 clock, but I'm gonna make it a 10 clock because how far
we're
away
out
from
on the ocean.
Yeah, they
So
literally would have to come for you from one of their island prisons.
Yeah. So I take 3 fey bargain.
Yep.
And the coven gets 3 fate.
Yep. And you spend 3 essence.
That's gonna kick us over.
Okay. So you have your first level of infamy?
Yeah.
I feel like stealing an ocean line.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
It's very apropos.
Because fate isn't just other factions, it's also the attention of the fates themselves.
Okay.
So
and
you will be making a 1 die roll.
3 essence, right? Okay.
So just a question more with regards to the system as a whole. Fate is not necessarily negative.
No.
It's
No.
not positive either, necessarily. It's just
There are 2. When you do get an entanglement, there's I think a 2 in 6 chance that it'll be neutral or even positive, the effect that it has. All right. So with wild magic, yep, 1 die.
Here we go. It's a complete success.
Okay. Excellent. We don't have to roll on the wild magic table. Since these guards are already out on the deck, the mist comes flying toward them, and they go completely mad and start shooting one another. One runs directly past Vespertine, Madeline, and leaps off of the boat. Yeah.
Screams on his way down.
Yeah, exactly. For most of our home games, I keep that on my phone, available on a soundboard, so I can just play it whenever anybody leaps to their death. But yeah, that takes care of everyone who was out in the mist, and now it's just a matter of getting the mist into everyone else by opening up all these doors.
Right, let's open the doors. Turn on some fans.
I think there are probably.
And I say Seth needs to turn into a giant bird. So
I imagine there are probably doors all over the ship, so is there any way I can use this pendant I just made and run around the ship and open up any doors that I find?
Ooh. Yeah, I think that would probably use up all of its power, but You could do that very rapidly and stealthily.
Well, then I want to do that.
You want to make a
Awesome.
prowl, a big prowl roll or something like that, and then
Big
and
prowl?
With the big dice.
Yeah, I can make a prowl roll. I've got 1 point in prowl.
You want to spend some willpower to get an extra die, or take a Fey bargain?
No, I will spend 2 willpower to get an extra.
Okay.
Can I spend a willpower as well to help?
To help? Yeah, you're an octopus. You want to like ride on her back or something?
I'm like grabbing doors as like we're running down the hall, just 2 handles at a time.
So, if mankind is invisible and there's an octopus on their back, what we have is a hanging octopus just squeezing all the doors closed.
It's even more scary.
Now it's an eldritch horror. We have an actual eldritch horror now.
Okay.
It's a shuggoth.
So.
Yep. So that'll give you +1 die and cost Seth 1 willpower.
And I spent 2 willpower also, so that's plus 2 die, so that's 3 die total.
Nice.
Okay.
Complete success.
Yay!
Okay.
We're getting a boat.
We're on a boat.
Out early. No, we're doing well. It is the Jesus routine.
Every door you can find on the deck, you have opened and propped open, so the fog is now permeating everything on the main level. And it's just a frenzy of screams for the next 5 minutes or so, as all the rooms empty out, and then after about 5 minutes pass, you stop hearing anyone making noise, and I think the fog is probably going to start to disperse at this point.
Silence is that which follows a bunch of screams.
Since it's now spread over a larger area than it was meant for. But yeah. So you can see a little bit better on the deck now, and you're definitely not seeing any additional movement. There are 2 more people who have offed themselves at various places on the deck. But nothing else, and you can't see any other doors that are closed, but you're sure there's got to be more. You probably only heard maybe 30 people in total, so there's probably another 60 or 70.
Then I shall make the greatest sacrifice I have made thus far. I shall find a body and steal its uniform.
Oh, wow. Slow clap. That's
No,
amazing.
I'm actually going to go to my grimoire and I'm going to check a willpower for that.
Okay.
Because I can guarantee you there is no way that my character would do that without exerting a bit of willpower.
Yes. All right. Do you want to dress in one of the security costumes or one of the sort of civilian costumes that you found?
I don't know, I like those tacky sailor costumes. There's something so absurd about them.
Okay.
Also, I imagine security would have higher clearance.
Yeah.
True. One might
have
assume
badges?
What's that?
Badges. I suppose that's a good question. Are there identification things that they can really?
Yeah, some of the people that came out after the security guards were definitely had They're all wearing like insignia on their shoulders or lapel to show rank or grade, and yeah, the second group that came out is a higher grade, but they're also wearing like sailor costumes.
I'll definitely take one of the costumes. Also, I assume that, as a rule, it's best actually to disguise oneself as one of the lower-ranking members, because nobody gives a damn who they are.
One of the higher-ranking members' fingers and keep it in my pocket.
Yeah, we should take everyone's fingers and hands. Are there any guns that aren't electronic?
Not that you've found yet, no.
I would like to keep a finger or a hand and an eyeball of one's higher ranking people, you know.
Can't you just raise one from the dead, Doc?
I mean, but they're not dead anymore, but I mean, will they do what I want them to?
I'm sorry, the body parts?
Well, like if I raise someone up from the dead, would they do what I want them to?
Let's see. I don't think you have that ability, although you could probably awaken the spirit of a recently dead person to like communicate with them. Oh, you mean breath of life? Oh, okay. So actually resurrect them. Okay. I was hearing animate the dead, which is that's more of a Baba thing. But yeah, you could definitely resurrect one. It's possible though that it might succumb to the effect of the madness again.
Why don't we have Seth pretend to be one of them?
I can do that.
They're very easy to study right now.
Off a finger and take an eyeball for good measure.
Sounds good.
So Elise, you're dressing as a civilian. Should I be disguising as a security person?
Well, I would just say that we should disguise ourselves as the highest. Well, I'm going to disguise myself as a low-ranking sailor, but you could disguise your actual face like a high-ranking one. And on that note, once we're prepared, I suppose all the fog has dissipated now, hasn't it?
It's partially dissipated, yeah. It still might affect people if they come up onto the deck.
Well then, as I disguise myself, if we are all ready.
Yeah. Is anyone else disguising? I guess it'd be a lot more difficult for the gob.
Yeah, there's no point.
Hollis just has the shirt on and it's like a dress.
I'm still going to have a full face of makeup. I mean, I'm not exactly going to pass for a sailor upon close inspection.
Right. But through the fog.
Through the fog, yes. I will call out, all hands on deck.
Do you want to use the walkie-talkie?
Well, I assume that's probably going to explode in my hand, but I suppose I could try.
Worth a shot.
It is worth a shot. So I will just shout, all hands on deck. I mean, I'm sure anyone underground has heard, or not underground, below deck, has heard the gunshot from the chaos.
Yeah.
So if I do that, they'll at least know that there's a reason to come up. So I assume that would be a command rule.
Sounds good. Too bad they can't see you through the thing, otherwise I'd probably give you a bonus.
Well, yes, they can't exactly see me, but also they could see me too close. They probably wouldn't believe it. It's a complete success.
Okay. So yeah, why don't you describe what that looks like or what that sounds like?
Well, I would assume that would look like every individual who is likely to respond to such a call rushing up to the deck. I don't know necessarily if the captain himself would listen to some random on the walkie-talkie. What's the word?
Mm-hmm.
Calling for her to rush to the deck, but those who aren't the captain and having heard all those gunshots are likely to rush up there.
Yeah. I'm
And
gonna say everybody that's a like sort of minion level or worker, that kind of thing, yeah, is going to come up and succumb to the mist, the maddening mists, and throw themselves overboard. And that gives you a much more solid idea of where probably the bulk of the rest of the people are, because they pretty much all come up from the same general area.
Oh my god, it
What does our 10 clock look like right now?
Currently, it's completely empty.
Oh,
that will flow a jar.
Yeah, it fills with consequences, so the more things you do, the more time you spend here, the faster it goes.
Successes are likely.
So, about how many more people would you say come up? About 50 or so? So I would
Let's see,
imagine there would
complete
be more
success.
lower class people than higher class people. We had about
Yeah.
7 left.
I'm gonna say another 30, so that probably leaves about 40 more.
Poor man.
So you've got your all your higher ranking people that are less likely to listen to such a command and follow it mindlessly.
From someone who has an accent that would make it very clear they're not British.
I think it's time to find the fire alarm.
I think at this point they know there's an emergency, darling.
Yeah, depending on the who's left, that could be potentially useful. So
we know they're not.
We could go back to the helm and stop it, and then force some more people to come up and figure out why the heck the boat's not moving.
I think that's a very sensible idea. We could have Hollis even freeze the doors.
I missed that.
But Hollis could potentially freeze or will shut the doors so that we are completely bulwarked within the helm.
Ooh.
The
Nautical
ship
terms.
Oh. We could even make sure that only the 3 of us are in there, and Seth could use that opportunity to crack an eyes.
So the place where the bulk of the people came up was not the helm area. It was more of the rear of the boat. So no one else that you noticed came up from the helm.
Now these are all mundanes.
As far as the information that you gathered earlier would indicate, yes.
It is likely.
Yes.
If we just snuck down there and found out where they were hiding, we could just weld that shut and let them starve to death.
It'd take a while, but few things work better. Although you would be putting them in, they would be with all the other radio equipment. So
that'd be unfortunate.
Yeah. So you have an unknown number of people in the main cabin area and an unknown number of people in the helm Your guesstimate based on helms is probably there's no more than 10 people or so in there, and so the rest should probably be in the cabin area.
Commune with spirits. Is there any way I'll be able to commune with the spirit of one of the higher ranking people we killed and try to figure out any helpful information at all?
So commune with spirits is more about entities that you're you could awaken a spirit and then commune with it, but babas can also speak to the dead, so that would kind of skip a step. So you could do that, yeah, but you only get to awaken a spirit once per undertaking, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's definitely something you could do. Most of the people went overboard. There were only two, a total of 4 bodies on deck. So.
I have a question about the ship itself.
Yeah.
Is it like a wooden ship, or is this like a metal
Steel.
kind of cruise line boat? Okay, so this boat would have portholes?
Yeah.
Don't you dare try to take it. I'm not here to take it.
I'm wondering if I hop into the water, dire form, krakenize myself, and just shove tentacles through the portholes, slap around, and just try to squish and pull people out through portholes.
Yeah, I would say dire form you could definitely break open a few portholes with dire form, but then you'd have to use dire form again to do more. So yeah, definitely a possibility as a massive octopus.
Do you guys want me to do that, or do we want to try to see if there's any kind of alarm in the control room first to see if it brings more people up and stop the boat first, or what do you guys want to do?
Would assume that
Seth's neurotic, so Seth's down for chaos no matter what, but...
I would assume that they are well aware that there is an emergency right now, and they don't need an alarm to let them know that. I should think it is very well established that a whole bunch of gunshots have gone off, a whole bunch of screaming has happened, and nobody has come back.
Yeah, and a lot of radio communications.
I'm sure.
So
I don't know if an alarm would necessarily help us now.
I think a direct approach, going under deck, either at the front of the boat or the back of the boat, are probably your only options. And the portholes will probably take you into the cabin area, the same kind of area you could get to by just descending the stairs at the rear of the boat.
I suppose I should go first in my jaunty little sailor costume.
Which way, the front or back? Trying to get into the helm or to the cabin?
I will go ahead when we decide what we're doing. What should we do, darlings? The helm or the cabin? We can stop the ship right here and at least prevent it from moving any further. Likelihood is the helm has a smaller force. It's better to pick off the smaller force first.
If you guys want to go to the helm, I could try to do the cabin, because Gavin said I could probably access the cabin to the portholes. Because dire form, I believe, draws attention to me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, engage a small game, redirect violent actions. Okay.
Dire and subtle don't tend to go well together.
don't think anything about our coven is subtle.
To be
Yeah,
said.
so if you wanted,
Yeah, they don't know it's us yet.
to go dire, that could give you the strength to punch through a porthole and get into one of the cabin rooms, and then you could move about much easier from down there, stealthily or however you'd like, to figure out what's going on in the below decks in the rear of the ship. If that's what you're interested in doing, Seth.
If the rest of the coven's okay with it, I don't want to go and just charge ahead.
I think everybody knows that you can probably take care of yourself with all the shape-shifting. I mean, worst case scenario, you get in a bad way and you just leap off the boat and turn into a dolphin and find your way back, you know?
Natural form can swim rather well.
Yeah.
All right, then let's engage in Octopus Rage.
That's the Octopus Rage I'm thinking of.
Oh my goodness, this session will just be called Octopussy.
Okay, so I have to take an essence, and then would that be a finesse to punch in a portal?
Yeah, sounds good. I would say that's more like tearing at the mechanisms that hold things together, and like, yeah.
Okay. And
Those were octopus.
you know what? I'm 4 from traumaing out on willpower, so I will go up to my 4th Fey bargain to
Ooh.
give myself an extra dice.
Bargain. There we go. All right, let's see. How about we take our clock on the Red Watch?
Okay.
All right.
How high up we going?
Just one.
Oh, that's not so bad.
So that gives you
Considering I was
plus
stuck
one
as a
die.
spider last time. Okay. So that'll be plus 1 die. So that'll give me 2 for finesse. And
Nice.
here we go. Partial success at a 4. You do it at a cost.
Okay.
I also have a mangled hand and dislocated shoulder. Don't know if we want to use that for...
Those are both level 1?
my dislocated shoulder is level 3,
level
and
3.
my mangled hand is number 2.
It's a very bad
So-
tentacle.
Yeah, I got 1 bum leg.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say your bad leg sort of gives out, and you end up making your way in through the porthole a bit sooner and less carefully than you had hoped, and you are struck by someone with a baton of some kind, some makeshift weapon, and they club you as you're coming in through their window.
Do I move my concussed back up to 2 now?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
I wonder how effective it would be to beat an octopus.
And this person is a red-haired woman who looks like she's wearing a she looks like she's cosplaying as a school teacher.
Did we just interrupt a Halloween party on a boat?
Everybody looks like they're cosplaying. It seems like nobody was allowed to bring their own clothes aboard.
Did they just go dumpster diving after Halloween one year and get all the costumes no one wanted?
Honestly, we're
Keep it
doing
that way.
these people a favor.
But yeah, you are now inside her room, and she is trying to shove you back out through the porthole that you came in through.
Pushing the octopus out the door.
Pushing,
All this squishy,
bashing.
squelchy sounds and just.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess I do a brawl roll to kind of resist her, maybe.
It should have been a squid, darling. You could have squirted some ink in her face.
I'm sticky to stick to the sides of the boat. I got the suction cups.
Yeah, you could definitely brawl her. She's already got her hands on you, so what do you want to
Okay.
do to her?
If she's already got her hands on me, I've got more hands than her.
Yeah.
So maybe I wrap up her hands with some of my arms and try to just like strangle her with my other arms.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Don't get into a fist fight with an octopus.
So I only have one in brawl, but I'm not going to use willpower just yet. I'll see how this goes.
Okay.
Oh, complete success
Ooh.
at a 6, so way to go.
Wow. All right. Yeah, she is not.
did.
She is not a combat hardened veteran or anything. And so with all your tentacles, like you said, you have her hands outnumbered. So yep. She is strangled unconscious, and her room is your oyster.
Nice. Do we want to keep going with me, or do we want to see how the other 3 are doing?
Yeah, sounds good. So what are the 3 of you up to?
I could rush the helm in costume. Let them know that there's a kraken attacking the ship.
I like
Okay.
it. Maybe more of them will come up to the decks.
I feel like anyone that's coming up, I'm just trying to run around and slit the throat of.
That
Okay.
sounds like a plan.
Just blood.
At least I
right now,
assume they
trying to
are.
kill people.
Okay. So
Is all of
you
Hollis's
had
fog worn off at this point?
it's definitely dissipating quickly, yeah. More quickly now. So unless somebody happens to find a pocket of fog, they're probably not going to be affected. Like some fog that got like trapped in an area or something.
Just seal a little bit in a Ziploc bag and take it with you.
Just shove the bag in people's faces. All right. So, yeah, you go into the door. You find a door that leads down into the helm, and it has a big lock. You know, a big handle that has to be turned. And when you turn it in the direction that it's supposed to go, it just metal against metal slams. It's definitely locked from the inside.
So they panic roomed themselves into this area.
Yep.
Well, I've got 2 essence left. I could maybe freeze it so that the lock would break, and we could open the door.
Shape shift people into do the like. So I have this one shape shifting reveal the inner self ability. Reveal
Yep.
the inner self ability. Can I do that to a room full of people?
Yeah, you'd probably need to have a connection to them, so you'd probably need to be able to see them to know who, because you have to know something about them, a way they are behaving, so that the thing they turn into matches.
Is there any way I could have had my panther go into that room in there and just be like,
So, flashback that like during earlier, before they locked this door, you sent your panther down, like during all that mayhem with the fog.
Yeah.
Does that sound good? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say to get down there and for the door to have still been unlocked, I'm gonna say that's a 2 willpower flashback. But yeah, we could have had your panther down there. You'll have to make some rolls to have it, to be able to get what you want from down there, but sure. So let's start by, do you want to do that?
I checked 2 willpower.
Yep. And then I can describe what your panther sees when it gets down there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're backing up to when all the people were rushing out, and the panther stealthily sneaks down and comes to that door, and peeking around the corner past through that open doorway, the panther can see the captain that you were told that you were described earlier. She's definitely not as attractive as described. She's heavily sunburnt, whereas she wasn't previously in his imagination. And but yeah, you see her in there furiously giving orders to 2 or 3 other people that are obviously higher grade than her, who are like, you know, you're here because you have the right family members. You're not really in charge. We are, and you know it. So they're arguing and they're very busy, and that's why they haven't got around to locking that door yet. So
decided to take a ship that already was in mutiny.
So what would you like to do with your panther?
Damn it, this keeps not picking up my voice. I think I would like to, at the point where we are now, my panther has probably just been staying around in the shadows, sneaking around the edges because it's a black panther, good at stealth.
Yeah, sounds good.
And giving me an idea of who people are, and so now I can turn them all into animals.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, do you let's see.
I feel like it will just be a random assortment of animals though, like, I don't know.
So the conversation they had, I don't know, I'm just sort of throwing stuff out here. Could have been like the person who was telling her off was kind of being a weasel. The captain was being mouseish. You know what I mean? Not standing up for herself. But the third person, yeah, you're not you didn't get a good beat on them. But yeah, I think with that you can probably get 2 of the 3. There's literally only 3 people down there. So.
Well then, I turn 2 into animals, a weasel and a mouse.
All right, so you guys, okay, so we're skipping back to now, and you get there and you're standing in front of that locked door, and you're like, ha ha ha, I'm ready. And yep. Okay, so normally that only works on 1 person, but you can spend an extra essence to have that work on 2 people.
Okay.
So that's called Reveal the Inner Self. Shapeshift a sape into a natural animal representative of their attitude, manners, etc. So now there are a mouse, a weasel, and a person locked in that room. And you guys can hear squeaking and scratching on the other side of the door.
I imagine the third person is freaking out because
2
other people have turned into animals.
Yeah.
What are the chances that you just open the door and try to run out of the room?
That's a good question. We are going to take a quick break and we'll find out the answer to that. All right, we'll be right back. Oh, okay. Cameras are coming through. Having some weirdness there for a split second. But where we left off,
We're all about, darling.
Elise, Hollis, and Madeline, and Madeline's Panther are outside of the sealed door into the helm, while Seth is an octopus down in the cabin area on the other end of the ship.
I have a notion.
Mhm.
Something we could try. Since I'm all donned up in costume, and we're at the point where we don't have much to lose from it, I could just stand in front of the porthole, the bulletproof glass, and start banging on it and demand that they let me in. That something out here is going to come and kill me because I am dressed up like one of their own. And there's enough people on here, they probably don't know that I'm not one of them.
Yeah, so the glass was upstairs and you guys are now downstairs. So there aren't any windows down here. But they could still definitely hear you from inside there, so it's still definitely swayable.
It's worth a try, don't it?
I don't know about on your end, but on my end it looks like Twitch crashed again.
Gotcha.
Yes, I'm not seeing it either.
Oh, yep, delay 48 seconds.
Dang.
Yeah.
Rude of
It's
Twitch.
so funny. It never happened before, and now it's... Alright, I'm gonna start... shut it down, and start it back up.
Hoping well for my future streaming career.
Let me tell you, my partner as a streamer usually handles at least one crash per stream.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of insane.
Okay. Failed to connect to server. Make sure you entered a... Yeah.
Yeah.
I put a message in chat already.
Thank you.
No problem.
Ooh.
Alright. Had to pop the cameras back out. And... Okay. Let me try again. Okay. It's back to green. And it looks like there's about a 45-second delay. But I think we can probably continue from here. So I think the idea was Elise was going to try to sway through the door.
Trying to beg them to let me in because the sea is claiming people out here.
Mm-hmm. Alright, I think that would probably have reduced effect because you've burned through a lot of the goodwill of the past, and a lot of these people have heard your voice and already resisted you once, but I think you've still got the charisma to possibly pull it off.
My sway is a bit low, and I'm no longer wearing my strings. Not
Um,
that it's
could I
much,
give
but they can't see me.
Could I give a willpower point to help for sway?
You're not there,
I-
darling.
No,
Yeah, you're
you're right. Never mind. I can't do that.
distant.
My bad.
I really can't imagine that there would be any way to effectively help in this situation.
I mean, I could
Maybe if you all had telepathy.
PowerPoint to help sway. I don't know if there'd be a way to help, but like.
Just screaming off in the distance. There's an
Yeah.
octopus on a rampage.
Is that good work? Set
Yep.
the scene.
Alright. So 1 willpower for +1 die from Vespertine.
Then I shall do that and keep my fingers crossed. It is a partial success out of 5.
Okay. You hear some shouting from inside. "I don't believe I can trust you," says a man's voice. I think I'll take my chances with the Coast Guard. But he says, I'll make sure to mention the rampaging octopus when I'm on my call. But you are able to get him to have a little bit of like sympathy for your plight. So even though he's not quite willing to open the door for you yet, you're definitely playing on his sympathies pretty hard. Maybe describing the torture and the madness and the blood and guts and the people hurling themselves, and it's enough to get to him.
What is this, a risky action or a controlled action, or?
I would say, based on where you are and the fact that he can't really get to you, I would say control.
And I believe we previously discussed this. If I were to boost the level, it would have increased effect. If it was just
yeah. So if we went to risky, you could increase the effect from lesser to standard effect.
So if I were to shout, "Open up this door, you goddamn coward!"
Yeah.
Because I assume that would be a risky maneuver. If he did not agree, he would very much lose all the goodwill he potentially had.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
But hopefully, were I to succeed in commanding him to open the door.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any need to re-roll. We can just treat it as move it up to risky and just treat that 5, that partial success. So he says, guarantee my safety and I'll open the door. You get me back to Manhattan.
But of course, we're all on a team here.
You hear a loud ka-chunk, and you see the wheel on the door turn just a little bit. Just from gravity. So let's go back to Seth. Seth, you are in the cabin area of the boat. You have invaded someone's private quarters and choked them to unconsciousness. And you now have a door that leads to their private bathroom and another door that leads out to, you would assume, a hall or something of that nature.
Okay. Well, I don't imagine anyone's going to be hiding in their personal bathroom. So I'll make my way into the hall and I guess try to peek through the adjacent door, see if anyone's in there.
Okay. On the opposite side of the hall, you can see through into their room through the peephole. There is someone. You can see someone breathing, cowering on the other side of the bed in that room. Their door is locked, but they don't seem like they're any threat, and there doesn't seem to be anything useful in there. You do hear loud talking coming from another door down the hall, at the end of the hall.
Okay. I guess I'll make my way down there, because if this person's cowering, they're not going to come out and get me. So I'll go investigate that noise and see if I can peek through that peephole.
So, there's no peephole. Go ahead.
I just said most of them are cowering at this point.
Oh yeah. So there's no peephole on this door, but you do see a plaque on the door that says Boardroom 7. And you can now hear voices of probably a dozen people all talking over one another. Some higher pitched voices.
Is this door locked?
It is not.
It is
Are you
not.
still an octopus?
I'm still an octopus at this
I
point.
mean, octopus can open doors very easily.
Oh yeah.
Yes, they can open jars and all kinds of stuff. So I'm thinking, because I'm sure it's worn off at this point after strangling the redhead school
Oh yeah,
teacher.
dire
But,
effect wore off before
I'm-
you even got in the portal.
Yeah, so I think I still have some more essence, so I might pop another. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think that was me.
I think I'll pop another dire form and go into this room and try to, I guess, spring on these guys.
Barrel through the door and just
Barrel
couldn't
in.
hear you. Yeah,
couldn't
just
hear
barrel
me,
through the
or,
door. No, I couldn't hear Morningstar.
No, I just said flail your tentacles around. I was just
Yes.
you hear my own voice, darling. Ignore.
So
So
barreling in through the door and
I'm gonna barrel into the door and try to squish as many people I can in proximity to the door.
okay. All right.
I'm 4 away with my willpower, so I will pop 2 of those. Because I can either do increased effect or a die, right?
Yeah, and you're already gonna get increased effect from being a dire octopus.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll give myself an additional die. So.
Or
And.
or you, instead of taking that, you could do the fight an entire group on equal footing.
Yeah,
because
I'll do.
the number of voices definitely sounds like a lot.
Yeah, that's probably the better option. So I'll do the engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat.
Okay.
And would that still be spring, or should I roll for a brawl then?
Yeah, you can do spring.
I've got the same point in both, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, I'm getting like a high pitched whistle.
It doesn't say nothing else after that? Okay. In my ear, it's saying low battery.
Oh, maybe it's your earpiece.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so I'll roll for the spring.
I'll
Partial success, you do it at a cost of 4. I got double 4s.
Okay. 1 sec, I'm gonna try to disconnect my earpiece and go to camera audio.
Just Gavin's gonna come back with a toaster microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Well enough, but the timber's old. Your lad comes terribly wicked like this, darling. So I approve.
Okay. Success at a cost. So, I think what this looks like. Well, here, let me describe what you see when you bust through the door. You see a room full of scared children.
Children? Oh no.
Oh my
And
God, they're going to kill children.
What's the Jedi thing?
So I think the cost would probably be that you're not able to stop yourself from part of your spring before you come in and kind of tentacle slam the people closest to the door. But you are able to stop yourself since you got a partial success. So
You only killed one child.
I was thinking 2, but
No.
I think 2's pretty forgiving since I have 8 arms.
God. I feel like once we start killing children, this is...
What's
So
the
I'm gonna
Jedi
say,
thing? I'm killing younglings.
yeah. So I'm gonna say 1 is mercifully killed instantly, and another is maimed.
Oh.
Yeah, you see a group of about 15, 13 left living children that had all congregated in this room. It looks like a school room.
School, beat fish.
Officially
You
evil.
see, what's that?
Officially evil.
Well,
Are we
darling,
the
this
baddies?
is evil for
At least
ages.
I am. I'm going to fish hell wherever that is.
Davy
Is that just
Jones
red-
Locker.
Is that just Red Lobster?
End up in the
So-
tank, nipping off each other's legs for eternity.
So the kids start screaming and they start congregating around the door that's opposite you. And so the maimed child is crawling away from you. Yeah, the others are all congregating around a door on the opposite side of the room, and they've sort of scrambled on top of each other, and they're yelling for Miss Penta.
She's not coming. She's choked out in her room. Is the door that they're going to, like on the other side of the room, locked?
Yes, it does appear to be. They're rattling the handle, and it's not coming open.
Childproof lock.
Am I in a risky situation?
No, you're controlled.
You can't imagine the children are going to do much damage to you, darling.
You do revert to normal octopus.
As an octopus, can I use the first aid kit on this child?
You probably need hands to.
Got it.
Yeah, but it's probably internal bleeding. So.
Now I regret not getting that telepathy thing.
So you could laugh at her through telepathy?
Exactly.
Octopus tentacles better than hands, though. I mean, you have more.
Would the best surgeon be an octopus in a world where we shared the exact same intelligence? Is the question.
Yeah. I think if you had as much like time invested in being an octopus, and you were an octopus surgeon, you'd probably be pretty great at your job.
Don't even need any nurses. You can do it all yourself.
The other child looks like he's going to survive, so
Oh well. What's a dead child for a cruise ship?
I guess I will, now that I've traumatized these children, I will leave the room and I guess try to either wedge or lock the door from the side so they can't get out.
Okay.
Like the door I came in from, so I'll leave the other door alone. They're on that side of the room. I'm just gonna back my way back out. And I guess take the dead kid with me so they're not stuck with him.
Aw. That's merciful.
We don't want them tearing it apart and eating it.
They're not gonna eat it. They're humans. They're not that
As
messed
far
up.
as
They're
you
just a
know.
little traumatized.
Hungry eventually.
Well, I'll take the dead child out with me, and I'll give him a Viking funeral later. But for now, I don't want to lock him in the room with the other small children.
I actually read Lord of the Flies, but
All right.
Feels
So
bad, man.
it's all right. Vespertine can bring the child.
That's true.
Man.
It was
Just
all-
like my 4 squishy arms are just like help.
We
carry
shall
the
raise
child.
them as our own. Train
Ooh.
an army of children.
They'll all be pickpockets.
Yes, there'll be little spots.
Love having an army of children. They are so powerful, honestly.
So the door to the helm opens, and you are sprung upon by a weasel, and it scurries past you, or attempts to.
I stomp on it. I resist to stomp on it.
All right,
I suppose that would.
it is no longer a threat.
I don't even need to roll. It's just a stomp.
No. Yeah. You can see inside the room. There's a mouse sitting on the captain's chair. What color of mouse did Madeline make it?
A gray mouse, like a house
Gray
mouse.
mouse.
I just hope it has a little tiny captain's hat.
It does. It definitely does. Yes. This is gonna be a pet mouse if I can.
Okay. And you see the other guy. He looks like he's probably in his mid-50s. He looks like he's the only person on the boat that could have possibly, piloted it. He looks like he's been on many sea journeys in the past. And, he's sort of standing back in the back part of the helm and, muttering that you said you'd keep him safe. He's, looks down at your bloody boot.
Oops.
And I shall, if you do as I tell you to. We could have use of a captain. We don't have use for trouble. So a captain survived, and trouble does not. Do you see where I'm going with that, darling?
He walks over to the captain's chair and swats the mouse out of the seat and says, I work for you.
Congratulations on your promotion. And I take the tiny little hat off of the mouse and I put it on his head.
I grabbed the mouse and I'm like, this is my new hat.
I'm just imagining you tucking like her in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've made a very sensible decision here, darling. One day, great riches shall be yours.
As you're saying that, you hear the Coast Guard coming through the radio. We have your coordinates, just like you told us. I don't know why you had to whisper to say it, but we're headed your way. There appears to be another vessel on the way. It has red watch markings, but we'll be there momentarily.
I say to the captain, the new captain, to inform those on the other line that those are more of the pirates.
I think we could let you do a command as if it were this person's role to see how well they or how convincing they are.
Alright, I shall try that. A command that I'm giving to him to give to someone else.
Exactly.
And it is a partial success.
Okay. So they tell you, they tell him, we'll hail the other vessel. We've never heard of a Red Watch vessel successfully commandeered before. But you can never be too careful with these wild witches about. They sign off. Let us know if you run into any more trouble.
Okay.
All right, Seth, you bringing this child up to the front of the ship?
Yes. It's like, please, please help. All my octopus gurgles on my way up. Just desperately trying to find, is it Vespertine or Hollis that has raised the dead?
Me.
I'm desperately trying to find you. I am consumed with guilt.
My panther notices you
Yeah.
and is like, hey, listen, this person is trying to find you. So I come to you.
Thank you. My squidgety legs mean I don't move very fast.
And I want to use 5 essence. Focus plus 5 essence. Resurrected an individual.
You have
Okay.
5 essence, darling.
Do you have 5 left?
Yes. I
Okay,
did.
great.
It's a good thing
Remember, all their stuff got refreshed from the session.
Yep.
Yes.
Still have 2.
Awesome.
Alright, I did that. So I have resurrected this child.
Well, you have to make a focus roll.
It's a focus. Oh, wait. Let me see.
The action. So if this doesn't end up well, they might come back wrong.
So
no.
I still have 2 willpower. Could I give, since they're with me right now, could I give
You don't
them?
have the
Actually, no,
power.
I can't. I don't have that power. I can't do it. My bad. My mistake.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to spend 2 willpower to make
Okay.
to make this 2 die.
To get an extra die. Okay.
Just let the kid come back. Bug it.
What about, could I give her a setup dice? Because I could talk to the spirit of the dead child and be like, hey, you should get back to your body.
Yeah, you couldn't do an assist, but you could probably do a setup action, yeah.
Okay.
Give the spirit a roadmap of how to get back.
Yeah, make the spirit ready for the journey back. I think that makes sense.
And that's
What
a
do you
willpower?
No, it's the spell. Oh, it's not a spell, is it? It's a
It's
grimoire
just
ability.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just choose what you want to use for that, to make that roll.
Focus.
Okay.
So is that only 2 die for me still?
That's gonna give you a setup action. I'm gonna say it reduces the difficulty from risky to controlled. If the thing is successful, which
Full success cost at 4.
okay, all right. So let's see, partial success on both. So yep. Let's say the consequence for the speak to the dead. I wouldn't say it's really a consequence because that's more of a gather information. So yeah, you know that this kid was pining for their teacher to come back out and tell them what to do, and had gone into her room and hid herself away, and that's when all the kids heard the gunshot.
So the teacher left the kids there to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
Kill this teacher. That's not what you do with kids. I'm sorry. I'm evil, but not that evil.
All right, and then on yours, you got a partial success. Let's see. I think it just it takes a lot out of you, and like so you're kind of like out of breath. Like it was like you gave half of your breath to the child, and now it's gonna take a little bit of time before you recover. So, for the remainder of the session, you're gonna have level 2 harm, out of breath. But it'll go away without you having to do a heal action at the end of the undertaking.
I do find it amusing that I have a concussion that is level 1 harm and being out of breath is level 2.
Your concussion didn't heal to that level? It started out as level 1?
Yes, it was a very, very small bump on the head when I fell.
Gotcha. Okay, but yeah, the child is back. Spirit has re-entered the body. The wound to his neck has healed. And
It's going to be afraid of stepping the pods forever.
he tells you that his name is Nith.
That's cute.
Doesn't sound like a very mortal name.
And he kind of goes he goes straight to the Baba, because you know it's like he's already met you, he already knows you and feels safe with you, and plus you're like his height.
Yeah.
Where are your parents?
Manhattan, I think.
My favorite cocktail.
Probably back at headquarters.
Okay.
They sent us here to get properly schooled. We're the what would you call it? The bad kids. This is extreme detention, effectively.
This is on boarding school.
Nice. So yeah. And
so you're not buying all their bullshit that your parents are teaching you about witches. You know, it's all wrong.
Oh, darling, who cares if they're lying? What matters is that they respond well to candy. Darlings, how would you like some candy?
Nif just snuggles up to the Baba. And you get the feeling that probably is candy.
My goodness, now I feel bad. Well, it's a good thing the kid's alive. We should do something about the main kid as well.
Thank you to Madeline very much for that.
Yay!
Yes.
You saved him.
Yeah.
You undid my awful, awful mistake. Thank you. I just wrote in the chat, when you go into Octopus Rage and accidentally commit Order 66.
Yeah. Exactly.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
Yeah. So, you have the captain. He is under your control. You know where the kids are currently locked away. And that only leaves about maybe 10 people unaccounted for. Currently.
Does the captain guy know where they might be?
Or a lot of them children we didn't kill?
Yet.
No!
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, but the captain probably does, so, Hollis, do you want to get some information out of him, or
I don't think he's going to talk
Elise?
to me.
Hmm?
I don't think he would talk to me.
Now,
Yeah.
darling, for us to ensure that your new promotion and future fantastic lifestyle are secured, we need to ensure that there's no one here to resist that. Because goodness knows, they'll have issue with me giving away a promotion like that. So, if you happen to know where they are, I would suggest you telling us now. Unless you want to lose this promotion. So I assume that would be a sway roll, although that's not my strongest suit.
Yeah, we could go with sway. And I'm gonna say this is risky because this kind of puts his entire livelihood on the line. So, not that that's like clear from, your character wouldn't necessarily know that, but you do now.
So, well, if it goes well, I guess we might have to kill him. It didn't go well, so we might have to kill him.
Yeah. So, so we're gonna have some effects here. The first one is he pulls a gun. You can resist that by maybe jumping in, snatching away the gun, stopping his hand before he gets to it. Your choice. There's more to come.
I would say
Elise
I'm
the only one in the room with him, or like Hollis, Vespertine, and I all like in the hall?
Well, you're all close by.
Oh, everybody's in there, yeah.
Okay.
Elise is definitely the closest, and it's Elise's action, so for anyone else to jump in would cost 1 willpower. But Elise can resist. I say freely, but it'll cost willpower as well.
I'm just going to let him pull the gun.
Okay. All right. That's going to make the second part a lot harder to resist. He pulls the trigger.
Oh my goodness.
He is trying to commit suicide.
Bye.
He killed himself. My goodness.
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was going to try to shoot me. I was going to have to use the 3-4 first.
Okay. So, does anyone want to resist that effect?
Himself, I don't care.
I'm going to cover the child's eyes.
It's like, don't look.
Cover his eyes with one tentacle. Cover his ears with the other ones.
Hear no evil, see no evil.
Evidently, this individual is not going to be easy to control in the long. So,
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good calculus you've made there.
if he's
Okay.
shooting himself in the head,
Yep.
then
And so,
creates another one, but
all right. Yep, not the cleanest shot, but he still manages it and slumps off of the.
see me kind of laugh in his face as he dies.
Yeah.
Or
Slumps
something
off the
like
captain's chair.
that. Smashing. Just call him an idiot. Would have had
Alright.
Trigger warning. Self-harm.
Yeah.
Literal trigger warning.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Trigger warning for triggers.
Well, we're out of captain.
We still have a captain. It's a mouse.
Yeah.
That's true.
Much better, Captain.
It would still have a human brain, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have to put it on someone's head and have it pull their hair like Ratatouille?
She's had a crash course in watching YouTube videos on how to pilot this ship. So
I'm sure she could do it.
We could learn it on YouTube anyhow.
At least get into her body and like figure out the stuff that she knows.
I could get into her mind.
Listen, whatever. It's same difference.
You get into her mind right now, she's gonna be freaking out.
She's thinking about too many things, the ship, and probably cheese.
The possibility of mites.
Yeah, she's realizing that mice don't have tear ducts and can't and have no reflex to vomit. So she's very confused. She doesn't know what to do with her emotions in a mouse body. All right.
Did I get to the end of that hall when I was in the going through the cabins, or did I just double back after?
No, that was the end. Yep.
Okay.
So most likely the rest of the people are cowering in their cabins, and that probably accounts for everyone on board.
Do we have a PA?
Yeah.
So we could put out a message.
Yep, that will definitely go to everyone.
Yeah, we could offer them clemency.
Can
We
hurt to try.
give promotion to anyone who can drive the boat.
Have our own skeleton crew.
One person clemency if they come forward to drive the boat. The others die.
Oh, and Vespertine, Madeline can undo her spell at any time. So that's you can.
That's a good idea. Yes.
You can unmouse. You can unmouse the captain at any point. It's not. It doesn't take anything special.
Could I unmouse the captain though?
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, I'm asking everyone else.
Well, you could unmouse her, and then she could do the PA.
Drive the boat.
Who cares who does the PA? I mean, they're all going to die if they don't obey. We've killed, what, 90 of them thus far?
Okay, I'll unmouse the captain, take her out of my pocket first so she doesn't rip off sharp.
Burst through your pocket.
No, I don't want my clothes ripped.
I'm not ruining this blouse.
No.
Even if I can't use it, can I pick up that gun so that we don't have the captain picking up the gun?
Yeah. It's actually a mechanical gun. It's a Luger.
Oh, we can use that.
Yep.
Dream come true. Can finally be a pistol packing mama.
All right. So yeah, the captain is unmoused, and yep, she is very confused, and takes the opportunity to cry and vomit, which she couldn't do before.
Good for her.
Licking her hands to clean the vomit off her face.
Oh wait.
So do you want to be a mouse again, or are you going to be our captain?
She chitters. No. I'll be your captain.
Good.
Hopefully you hold to that better than your predecessor.
Yeah. She like empties her pockets and shows that she doesn't have any weapons.
Good. So do you know where all the others on the ship are?
Um,
So if they want to live.
So she says that they wouldn't tell her everything, but she does know that they have rations for 5 additional people that aren't on the register for the boat.
Yeah, that is mysterious. It's Dracula. It's like a coffin packed with dirt somewhere.
Hollis is excited about the prospect of dirt.
Fake dirt.
So this was a commandeer mission, am I correct? That was the idea.
We want the boat.
So I think this is mission successful.
We should do something about those children, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Raise them for our minions.
Oh yes, but we have to at least approach it properly.
True.
So I would say there's probably another mission on the horizon, but you'll probably want to draw down the moon so that you can clear up this wild magic before the Red Watch makes it to you. And then you should be able to pilot the boat to at least a place where they can't find you.
Can we
So-
do the drawing down the moon ritual anywhere, or do we have to be at our coven stead to do that?
You can do it anywhere, you just do it at 1 fewer die. So you'd be back to rolling 2 dice and take the lower.
How far are we from our coven?
We would have to roll to find out. And that would put you up against the Red Watch. So basically, it would be, are we going to immediately start a race of you versus the Red Watch, of who, if you can get to your coven faster than they can get to you?
Leading them there.
Yeah. But if you draw down the moon, then you're not taking that wild magic with you, and you're much more safe.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So, do you want to lead that, Hollis, since you were the wild magic practitioner?
Sure thing. Let's see, how would she do that here?
Well, while Hollis is doing that, can I just see if there's like a decanter of alcohol? I'll pour a nice drink for the captain. Settle her.
Yeah, you're in the. You're definitely in there for sure.
All right. Perfect.
I mean, we don't have any dirt for you, but there's dead people around, if that helps.
Yeah.
That's true.
Dead people. We can
Make
go
a circle.
I'll go up on the deck, so I can at least see the moon. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll need to bring everybody with you.
Yeah. I assume so.
Okay.
Yeah. So she'll bring everybody up on the deck and find one of the dead bodies and kind of crouch down over it, like, a little goblin would. And yeah, she'll look up at the moon and speak her goblin language and draw it down.
Okay.
And then I'll roll 5.
Yeah,
I have to
roll
do-
exclamation point 0.
Okay. It's partial.
Hey.
success.
So you regain 4 essence and 2 willpower.
Nice.
Goodness.
Because I needed that.
Yes.
And that takes care of the 10 clock that you had for the Red Watch. There were 7 left. So we had only filled in 3.
You said 4 essence and 2 willpower?
Yep. So I think probably you have 2 potential missions here. You have get the boat and children to some kind of safety, and then find out who the other 5 people are aboard and where they are. So that we could decide how you want to split that up, or if you want to do both of those next time.
But yeah, it sounds like a combination kind of a mission, since we're
Yeah,
going to
you
be
could do
on the
have two
boat.
people focus on one and two on the other.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, Hollis and I can maybe focus on getting the boat somewhere safe, utilizing fog and me forcing the captain to do what we tell her. Well, Seth and Madeline hunt for the stowaways. That seems sensible. Split up.
Yeah. Awesome.
Everyone is in agreement on that matter.
Yeah, sounds
makes
good.
sense.
All right. Well, I think we can call it here for the evening. Thank you to all of our awesome players and our awesome chat and viewers for sticking with us tonight.
And our awesome GM as well.
Oh, thank you. And if we could go back around the room, we'll start with Vespertine, and you can just tell people where they can find you, and if you have any projects going on that you want to plug, feel free to.
Can you hear me? God damn it.
Yep.
I have to lean really close. Anyways, my name is Vespertine. I'm a model and a performer and an artist and a writer, and I do a lot of stuff. But you can find me online on Instagram at swords_and_lace. And I think that's all.
Awesome. Anya?
Yeah, I don't really have any projects going on right now. But you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at I think it's pretty much Anya TM everywhere.
Okay. Lilith?
You can find me at Megs Benedict on Instagram. I don't do too much there, but I'm this one's editor. So you can enjoy some of their work.
And Morningstar?
Yes, I am the this one. The beginning, the end, the alpha, omega, whatever. I am a work of art, and you're invited to come and enjoy me on Instagram or Twitter at _Cytherian, or Facebook or Twitch at just the Cytherian. I haven't started streaming yet, but with me soon, darlings.
Awesome. I'm very much looking forward to that. And everyone's information is also in the stream description or on the Balsamic Moon page here. You can get the game at quickstart.childrenofmidnight.com. It's free, and it's going to stay free. And it's everything you need to play the way we've been playing. And I think that's it. And you can follow us on at Balsamic Games on Twitter. And yeah, we'll be posting a lot more, and we'll be here every week. Nightsky Sanctum. Next week we may have a guest star. We will figure that out off stream. But yeah, we have a lot of applicants that we're really excited to share with everybody. And so we'll see how that goes.
And let's see if we get caught by the Red Watch.
Mm-hmm.
Or if more children die. That'll be exciting.
Oh no.
But we know they can. They're not immortal, so.
And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot the big announcement. Why did I leave that until the end? That's terrible. Well, the big announcement is that I don't have the big announcement in my hand. I think Anya has the big announcement. Do you have the new character sheets?
Yeah. So these are our character sheets.
Ooh. Quite the upgrade visually.
They have a little
Gorgeous.
notes section on the back. They're super awesome.
Yeah, that's at Byfrancita, Byfrancita, made those for us, and we're really, really excited about them. So
They're
yeah,
super
that's the big
awesome.
announcement. We're probably going to release them when we hit 800 downloads of the rules, so that people can start adding those to their game, and then we'll start working on the Coven sheet and getting that going. So
And here I thought they were beautiful as they are.
they're all right. I mean, Google Sheets leaves a lot to be desired.
And
So-
don't hear what I always say. You can improve on perfection.
You're living proof.
Precisely.
And so we have a new end screen for after our stream goes off, and I'm going to leave that up for about 5 minutes or so. That has all the credits of everybody here, including their preferred social media and descriptions of all the tracks and things like that you've heard during the game tonight. And as well as our new logo for Balsamic Moon Games that Anya made today. That is absolutely gorgeous. So stick around for that. And as I said, we'll see you all again for Nightsky Sanctum next Tuesday. Have a great night.
See you
Bye.
next Tuesday. Mwah.